Hey there, Case Closed fans. You guys love to dig deep and get into these celebrity mysteries. And today we're asking the question, are some cases ever truly closed?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Especially when it comes to like public figures like Will Smith. We're going to do a deep dive today into an incident from his past.
Okay.
So we all remember the Oscars incident back in 2022.
Oh, yeah. How could we forget?
Right. It was the slap and hurt around the world. It was
Yeah.
crazy. But it really kind of opened up a Pandora's box and led people to kind of like re-examine Will Smith's past and some things that maybe had happened.
Yeah, it's amazing how one event can have these ripple effects, and everyone's kind of looking back going, oh, well, what about this?
Right. It's like,
Yeah.
was there something else there that we missed? So to kind of get to the bottom of this today, we're going to be looking at a YouTube video by Steph the Altar Nerd.
Okay.
And this video digs into an incident from 1989
Wow. Oh.
involving Will Smith and a record promoter named William Hendricks.
So this is way before Fresh Prince.
Way before Fresh Prince,
Yeah.
before he was a rapper.
Oh.
Yeah, and this wasn't just some kind of Hollywood scuffle. This was serious. The allegations were that it was an assault. Hendricks ended up with a fractured left eye socket,
Wow.
and he had to be hospitalized.
Okay, so this is serious stuff.
Serious stuff.
This isn't just a publicity stunt or something.
No, this landed Smith in some legal trouble.
Yeah.
So the charges that were filed were aggravated, assault, reckless endangerment, and even criminal conspiracy.
Ooh, that's not good.
So that's pretty intense, right?
Yeah. Conspiracy, that means that there was premeditation.
Right, exactly. So this was a big deal, and, it had the potential to have some very serious consequences.
Yeah, these aren't light charges at all. This is serious stuff. It really paints a very different picture of Will Smith than maybe we knew back then.
Yeah, especially, the persona he was trying to create
Yeah,
at that time.
you're sure.
So here's where it gets even more murky. The charges were ultimately dropped because Smith reportedly covered Hendricks' medical expenses.
Okay.
Now, we're not saying that that's an admission of guilt, but it definitely makes you think, right? Like, what was going on there?
Yeah, it definitely makes you kind of wonder about the power dynamic there.
Exactly. Especially because, he was becoming famous. He was on the rise.
Absolutely. So did influence and money play a role?
It really makes you wonder, was justice served?
Or was it just kind of swept under the rug?
Exactly. It's a question that kind of lingers for decades.
Yeah, it does.
So then fast forward to 2005.
Okay.
Smith finally addresses this incident in a statement, and he denies any kind of direct involvement.
Okay.
He says, quote, "I was there, but one of my buddies beat up this dude."
Okay.
It's very carefully worded.
Right.
It avoids directly contradicting the allegations.
Yeah, but it also doesn't say that he tried to intervene or anything.
Exactly. Like, did he do anything?
Yeah, like it's just very interesting wording.
Yeah.
It almost makes you question, was he complicit by being there and not doing anything?
Yeah, and that's exactly the point that Steph the Altar Nerd brings up in his video.
Okay.
He argues that, based on Smith's own words, he was complicit by not taking any action to prevent the assault.
That's a big statement.
Yeah, it is. It makes you think about accountability, right?
Absolutely.
Like, are we responsible not only for our own actions, but also for the things we don't do?
When we witness something like that?
Exactly. It's
Right.
very powerful. Especially when you consider, the severity of the alleged assault and like the possible long-term consequences for Hendricks.
Of course.
And speaking of Hendricks,
Yes.
he resurfaced after the Oscars incident with a statement of his own.
Wow. Okay.
And in this statement, he says he wants to see Smith held accountable for his actions.
Wow.
But interestingly, he also says that Chris Rock shouldn't face any backlash for the joke at the Oscars.
Oh, interesting. So he's separating those two.
Yeah, completely. He's drawing a line between the two.
Yeah, he is. It almost sounds like he's not trying to like get revenge or stir anything up.
Yeah.
It's more like he wants to address a pattern of behavior.
Right. He's not letting anybody off the hook.
He's holding people accountable.
Exactly. But there's a twist. While Hendricks is calling for this accountability, he has actually refused to give any further details about that night in 1989.
Wow, so he's not saying anything more about it.
Not a word. He's very tight-lipped about it.
That's very interesting. There could be so many reasons for that.
Right.
Maybe there's a legal agreement that prevents him from talking. Maybe he's just trying to move on. Maybe it was too painful
Right.
to revisit all of that.
Yeah, it really makes you wonder
It does.
because there's so much that's underneath the surface.
Yeah, there are so many layers
Oh, it's
to this story. Yeah, it really makes you think about how the past just has such a grip on the present,
Right.
especially with the internet now.
Yeah, it's like you can't really erase anything.
It's out there forever.
Exactly.
Right.
So it makes you wonder, what does it even mean for a case to be closed
Yeah.
when we're talking about like a public figure?
Right. Legally, maybe?
Yeah, maybe legally.
But not in the court of public opinion.
No, not at all. Things are never that simple.
And especially when someone has that kind of celebrity, where every little thing they do is analyzed.
It's like they're under a microscope.
And so then we have to ask ourselves, well, is that really who they are?
Right.
Or is that just the persona they're showing us?
Exactly. And this is all starting from a YouTube video,
It is.
which is really interesting because it shows you how powerful citizen journalism is.
Right. Like anybody can bring these stories to light.
Absolutely. It can spark these really important conversations.
But then it also shows that we need to be careful about what we read online.
Right. Like we can't just believe everything we see.
Yeah. We need to be able to think critically.
Exactly. And form our own opinions.
For sure.
And what's so interesting to me is that this whole thing from 1989, it shines a light on a much bigger problem in Hollywood.
What's that?
This idea of accountability.
Yeah.
Like, do powerful people really face consequences?
It seems like sometimes they don't.
It makes you wonder how many other stories are out there that we just don't know about.
It makes you think, how much do we really know about these people that we idolize?
Right. And what about the systems that protect them?
Yeah, it's a really sobering thought. It makes you question, what does accountability actually look like?
Right. Is it just like a legal thing? Or is it more than that?
Is it public apologies?
Well,
Is it something else entirely?
right. Like, what does it really mean?
And it's a question that doesn't have an easy answer.
It really doesn't. And,
Yeah.
It's easy to get caught up in the drama of it all.
Yeah, for sure.
But we have to remember that there are real people involved in this story.
Absolutely. Like Hendrix, his injuries, the fear he must have felt, the long-term consequences.
Right.
Like, this isn't just some news story.
Exactly. These are real people.
Real lives that were affected by this.
Absolutely. And it has this ripple effect.
Yeah, how does this shape our culture?
Right. Our idea of what's acceptable behavior.
Our understanding of justice, even.
It makes you think about our own roles in holding people accountable.
Regardless of who they are.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, it starts with us being informed.
Yeah, speaking out against injustice.
This has been a really eye-opening deep dive.
It really makes you think twice about all those cases that we think are closed.
Yeah, especially when it comes to powerful people.
Because sometimes those are the cases that keep evolving.
Right.
We have to keep re-examining what we think and ask the tough questions.
So, case closed. Fans, you've heard the story now. What do you think? Did you know about this?
I mean, it really makes you wonder, does this change how you view Will Smith?
Yeah. Does this change how you view his whole career?
And you know how we look up to these celebrities.
Right? Do we just gloss over their past mistakes?
I think this deep dive was really about, looking at the complexities.
Yeah.
And all the different sides.
The nuances.
Yeah, and questioning, what's real and what isn't.
Absolutely. It's like peeling back the layers of an onion. You think you know what's going on.
Right.
And then there's another layer.
And another one and another twist.
Yeah, and sometimes it's not about finding the answers.
Right.
It's about asking the right questions.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, case closed. Fans, what questions are you asking now? Are there any other cases you're going to go back and look at?
Yeah, what other stories are out there?
Right. We have to keep learning and keep digging.
We can't just take everything at face value.
We have to question everything.
Yeah, because sometimes those uncomfortable truths, those are the ones that really teach us something.
Absolutely. So stay curious out there.
And then stay safe.
We'll see you next time.